Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Galvan, and we're going to be talking about creating Google Sites. So, as you know, there are many different platforms from which you can create a website, and they vary to some degree based on formatting, special features, things that are available on the free versus the premiums out there. Weebly and others. Um, Not a lot of people know, though, that Google actually has their own version of a website creator, and it's really good in a couple of really neat ways, particularly when it comes to the linkage between the Google site and the Google Drive. It actually makes it very simple when you want to embed documents, forms, and other things directly from Drive into your website. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about creating a site. We're going to walk through making a sample site right here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons of the Google Site feature. So, as always, we're going to start off by being in our Google Drive. So, I'm already logged into my Drive. See? So, we're going to click on New. We're going to go down to More and hover over. We're going to go further down. And this is it, Google Sites. I'm going to click on that. Once we do, Google will start to prepare the Google Site Creator. And that's what this is. So we can go ahead and start off by making a title page here. So this is like our home page in a sense. We can also write down the name of our site. So maybe we can call our site Sample Book Club Site. So much like forms, docs, and others, when you create the title, it populates up here. This is how it's going to be saved within your Google Drive. So interestingly enough, it is very easily and readily accessible when logging into your Google Drive. It's displayed prominently. Um, However, though, whenever you make changes, whenever you add anything to your site, it's always recommended that you publish. And it's kind of like, and it's very similar to how you would work with Weebly and others. When you click the publish, it puts everything out there. It's ready to go on the web. So it's very important that you click publish whenever you make some changes and you want those to be set. But I mean, it should be saved in the drive, but this is a personal preference of mine. So let's get into it. Let's start off by creating a title page. So we can say, welcome to book club. Okay. Welcome. Can change the header here. So notice that I've inserted a text box. We can change the style of the font, make it bigger or smaller. Since it's the title, we can do welcome to the sample book club. Before I jump into just adding a bunch of stuff, I want to talk a little bit about these three tabs. So on the insert tab, this is where we'll plug things into our site, whether it's text boxes, images, you're embedding something from another location, or you're putting things directly from the drive. Very useful, very convenient. We have a couple of layouts to choose from. These are really neat because they're kind of different little arrangement styles that you can use. You can put in a table of contents. Image carousels are always nice, so you have a little gallery. Buttons and dividers, very familiar from different other website creators. We have a direct link to YouTube. I really like this one because when you click on that, you can do a quick video search on YouTube. Or you can go into something that you've uploaded already from somewhere else. You scroll down further, we can link to calendars. This is really neat, especially when you want to share a calendar it could be from a Google Classroom that you have. Maybe you have different classes. You can put calendars directly onto the site. And you could also share your own personal calendar if you want to, depending on how you want to do it. You could embed docs, slides, sheets, forms. directly onto the site. I really like the forms one, especially because if you want to post surveys for everybody to respond to, you can put it here. I mean, you could also send it through Google Classroom, but this is just another way to do it. So the next one is Pages. Now, Pages allows you to create different pages on your sites. So this is obviously our home page, right? See, home. You click on the plus sign, it creates a new page. So maybe, I don't know, I could say book talks. Maybe we have a page that has a bunch of videos of book talks that we want to do. Maybe another one could be something like an about. You know, you could write down the history of your book club, etc. You can also do another one, maybe useful links. It's always a good one to have. So notice we have a bunch of pages. Now, if you want to make a sub page within a page, you could click and drag and kind of mash it into one of the other ones. So now this page is a sub page of this one. If we want to bring it back out, we just do that, click, drag, and move it. We click on themes. This is where we can play with the view or the visuals. Aristotle changes it to this, Diplomat changes it to this, and so on and so forth. There's not really a lot to choose from. You can change the colors though once you're in, but again, Google limits you. And some people do complain about that. It's not necessarily the worst thing in the world though. I think because people are forgetting that with all of these different website creators, sometimes, you know, people customize them to the nth degree. And it could be, or at least from what I've heard, that Google wants to try to maintain a kind of cohesion among the visuals on their sites. They want to have not a rigid uniformity, but a kind of general uniformity to the sites, to the way it kind of looks and feels. And I mean, I can understand that. I really like the simplicity of it though. Definitely recommend using this if you want to assign your students to create websites. Very easy to use. And again, the uniformity and the structure helps the kids who are a little bit novices in using a Google site. And it's super easy when you're embedding stuff from the drive. So let's talk a little bit about that. So I showed you right now how to do a text box. So we could do welcome to the sample book club. If I press enter, notice that we're on the title font, switches its to normal text. Please look around and explore our sites. Okay. Now, if I want to add a particular layout, maybe we could add something like this. And it gives you some options. When you click on the plus sign, you can upload videos, maybe from the drive, maybe from YouTube. If you want to put in your calendar, you can. So I'm going to go ahead and click on YouTube. And let's say we're going to search for, I don't know, book club, something having to do with book club. Why you need to join a book club. So that looks kind of cool. We'll go ahead and add that. We'll select it. Joining a book club is a must. View the video above ASAP. Over here. So maybe we don't want to do a video in this case. Maybe we want to do an image. Maybe we could select an image. Now you have a few options. You could do a search on Google. You could look into your albums if you have one. You can go into your Google Drive if you have photos in your drive. But let's just do a straight up search from Google. I don't know, it could be something along the line of books. Maybe just like a stack of books. Yeah, this looks fun. Okay, we're going to select it. Boom. Add to your personal library. We can describe it as joining the book club gives you access to free books. Okay, cool. So we already have a little bit of stuff here. Now we've got a little bit of a website. Now, I did talk about embedding things. I really like that feature. I'm going to add more of these layouts. So for instance, if we have, like, let's say we have a calendar that we want to add. we can click on calendar. And these are my calendars that I have. This is my Eagle book club. It's a book club that I created for Vela Middle School. I also have a couple of sample classes that I created when I was teaching some teachers a while back about how to use the Google Classroom. I also have my personal calendar here. So I could probably just go ahead and use the Astronomy 101 one. It's simple. It doesn't really pertain to book club, but it's just for demonstration purposes anyway. So if you see here now, this is a calendar that I had created. Again, it was a sample one that I made for a technology class that I was teaching teachers with. But notice it displays by agenda. If you click up here in the little wheel, the settings, on the view mode, you can make it be viewed by month. And notice in my sample little calendar, we have a stargazing activity. I'm going to talk a little bit about the calendar at the end, but it's a useful thing to have for your website, especially if you want to show meeting dates and times or special literacy events. View the calendar above. Check on the calendar periodically to keep up with meeting dates and times. Okay, so that's our calendar. If I click here, let's say I have something else I want to put in. We talked about forms a little while ago, right? So if we look in our drive, we can look at all of our files. And I'm sorry for the messiness, but let's take a look. Okay, so this is a sample book club survey that I had created. Well, no, actually, let's not look at that one. Let's look at this one. This is a sample one that I had made. I'm going to go ahead and insert it directly. Notice that the form has been inserted. Fill out the survey ASAP. Fill out the survey above. What's really neat is that once we publish, and I'm going to go ahead and click publish now, you're going to get to see that the form is readily viewed and displayed on the sites. Now, when I click publish, it's going to ask me for a web address that it's going to have. This is going to be the full address, but notice this is our title from here, Sample Book Club Sites. Now, I can manage who can see the sites. It's kind of neat, especially, and I want to point out again, if you want to restrict it so that maybe you're having students create their own websites in your library, it's useful to have it like that. If you want to make your book club site, and maybe you're designing a book club website that can be viewed by anyone whenever, you can change the permission here on the access, and anyone can find and view the published version. We click on that, save. Now anyone can view it. Publish. Okay. Now if I click on the little arrow here, and you can always change the permissions back here. If you click on the little plus sign, if you change your mind, you can always click there and go back. But if I click on the little arrow, we see view published site, so we can see what people would be seeing, what people would be looking at. And this is what we've created, and we've just done it in just a couple of minutes, but we already have a bunch of stuff. We have a video, we have a little photo, we have our embedded calendar, and we have our survey. And yes, they can click directly, type directly, and submit directly on the site whatever survey you want to put, okay? But remember, you have to set that permission on forms when you create the survey. So if I want to go back, I'm going to go back into my drive, and I'm going to look at that sample survey that I made, Book Club Survey 1. So remember, on your forms, you have to make sure that you set your permissions so that they don't have to log in. So this would be where you would do the restriction if you wanted to do that. And I have it unchecked because I want whoever goes to the site to be able to fill out the form. Okay, so I'm going to X out of that. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the calendar. So our calendar looks nice and neat, and it's displayed. But you have to do something very important to make sure that this doesn't appear like with a lockbox and it looks funny. Because in order to allow it to be displayed, you have to set a permission. So if we go back to our drive, you see the little dots, always very useful. You click on calendar, and you have your various calendar views right on Google. So as I mentioned, if I scroll to the side and I look here, I told you that I created a couple of Google Classrooms as samples when I was teaching teachers about how to use Google Classroom. Notice that I have the Astronomy 101 checked here. If I uncheck it here, this one went away, right? So if you want to make any alterations or look at it, you click on the wheel up here. Always look for the wheels when you want to look for settings. So we click on settings. Okay, the settings load up. I scroll to the left, and you want to see the setting for your particular calendar. Now remember, the one that I have on the sample site is the Astronomy 101 calendar. So that's the one we're going to be working with. So I click on Astronomy 101, and I see it here. So we have the description of the calendar. We have all of these different things. This is the key, access permissions. Notice that I've made it available to the public. So whoever goes to the website can see the calendar, okay? Now, it's really useful to have that because you want people to be able to see your calendar. You want them to be able to look at it. And notice here, I'm viewing the site. This is us looking at the site as if we're a regular visitor. Notice that we can actually click on things on the calendar. We can see the descriptions. You can click on it further, and you get to see it. So you can actually take a look at it. I love that you can see the descriptions, the date, time, location, and everything. So depends on how you want to work with it, but have your calendar, set your permissions so that it's public, and go from there. But make sure that if you do the book club site and you want to embed a calendar, I would highly recommend creating a book club on Google Classroom. That way, when you're working with your calendars, I'm going to go back here, you don't have to put your personal calendar. You can have a calendar specifically set aside for the purpose of the book club. Notice that I have an Eagle Book Club calendar as well, and I have it on my book club websites. So this is our sample book club website. We have a calendar, we have a form. If you want to embed anything else, it also works with other applications too. We click on the plus sign. We could do something from Drive. You can embed Google Docs directly. Something that I embedded with one of my my samples a while back were links. So I have a Google document that contains just pure links, in this case to astronomy websites. But what's really neat about this is that from time to time, if I ever want to update, so I'm going to type in useful astronomy links. View these links ASAP. Everything's ASAP. If I want to make any alterations to that from time to time, I can easily do it here. So notice it's a Google document. I click in here, and I have these links. I can add to this periodically. And the beauty of it is that every time I add things here and it saves, you give it a few minutes, and it will be added here on the embedded document in the site. Fantastic tool. Because as you know, many of our documents are living documents. We need to make periodic additions to them from time to time. So the final thing I want to do is I want to show you my book club website, just so you can get a sense of, what a book club website could look like. And yours doesn't have to look exactly like mine. Yours could have maybe a lot more information. It could have a lot of unique information to your to your specific school library's needs. But I do want to give you just a quick view of some of the stuff that I have on mine. So we have our book club, have a little introduction. I have a little book talk that I did for the first book that we're doing, which is Restart by Gordon Corman. I made this using the Screencastify Google Chrome extension. A fantastic tool that I'll be touching on in another video. I have some announcements. I have some guidelines for posting on Google Classroom. I really want to encourage the students to use online discussion, and I love that Classroom has a nice, neat, and structured system for doing it. I have a little screencast on how to post to Google Classroom. I have my embedded calendar for my Eagle Book Club with my little links. I have my Google Book Club survey, and I have a letter to parents with my Google website here and a few other things. So that's just it. I mean, it's very simple, but it has a lot of key information that I personally like including, and I'll be adding more to it as the year goes on. So this was our sample, and not too shabby. You know, we were able to add a lot of useful things, and we can add more. That's the beauty of websites. You can add more and more and more things as time goes on. So don't forget, you have this here. You can copy a link to your website if you want to send it to somebody, but make sure that you have the permissions set. It's something that people often forget. Make sure that you have your permissions set so that it can be viewed by anybody. Unless for whatever reason you just want it viewed by people in BISD or whatever domain that you're in another school district, and you want them to log in with their Google accounts. You could do that too. That's totally fine. Remember, on the arrow here, you can always view the published version of the sites, and you can always look at your settings. And unpublish if you want to take it down for whatever reason. This is our final version. This is what it looks like after we've put in everything. And notice, remember, the permissions allowed us to be able to put this out here. This is published. This is live. All of this is working. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and keep using Google Apps. Definitely a great way to get things rolling in your library. Thanks.